Hey howdy hey, how is everybody doing, and welcome back to Disney Daily. In the movie Luca, we meet kind, timid, and reserved sea monster Luca, who shows a genuine interest in the creatures and objects on land, but is scared to venture out of the water and see for himself what life on land is like. That is until he meets fearless and confident fellow sea monster Alberto, who forces Luca to get out of his comfort zone and try being on land. When Luca's parents threaten to send him to the deep, Luca and Alberto run away to a nearby town called Porto Rosso to find adventure and a possible new way of life. Once in town, the two sea monsters quickly find out who the town bully is when they almost break his Vespa. Ercole, an allegedly 16-year-old boy, makes it known to all that he is not only the Porto Rosso Cup champion, but one of the most self-absorbed individuals in town. Instead of welcoming Alberto and Luca into town, he ridicules them and tries to dunk poor Luca in the water. Ercole, throughout the whole entire movie, is constantly seeking validation and attention. He continuously wants to be noticed by others, and there are so many examples of that. Sadly, Ercole doesn't get any better by the end of the film. He remains the mean, selfish, and power-hungry villain. But I was curious why that was. Why did Ercole behave this way? Could something have happened to him, or was he just born this way? Well, in today's video, I have a fun little theory on Ercole's story and why he is the way he is. I think to really get to the bottom of Ercole's backstory, we have to try and investigate his upbringing. Now, this is no easy task given that there is a lack of direct information about him in the movie, but that didn't stop me from theorizing about him. My theory is that Ercole is a spoiled rich teen that comes from a long line of wealthy family members, and they live in the hills of Porto Rosso. As you can see from the picture, there are houses on the hillside, and that's where I think he resides, which could partially explain why he uses a Vespa. In my opinion, he needs it to go from his house, which is so high up on the hill, into the town. I truly believe he doesn't actually live directly amongst the townspeople, which is why he seems so out of touch with them and why the people in town seem to be constantly annoyed by him, which is clearly demonstrated in the scene where Luca and Alberto enter Porto Rosso for the first time, and he comes busting onto the scene with his Vespa. Now, although Ercole comes from money, he, in my opinion, seems to have been cut off from some of his money because he does have to pay for his own Vespa using the prize money from the Porto Rosso Cup, which he mentions in the film. But his purchase of a fancy Vespa clearly shows he was never concerned about money, because if he was concerned about money, he would have spent it on essential things such as food, water, housing, or even clothing. Now, I don't think it's just his lack of fitting in with the people that illustrates he doesn't belong there. It is also his choice of clothing. You see, when we first see Ercole's clothing, it seems to be more dressy as compared to the locals. Everyone in the town seems to have a more relaxed and casual sense of style. They dress in clothing that allow them to work if need be, whereas Ercole seems to be more formal with his sweater tied around his neck and his brown loafers. His clothes show me that he never really had a hard day's work, nor does he know what that means, whereas those who live in the village dress ready for work. I also think his bicycle and boat are a dead giveaway that he comes from money and isn't a local. Not only is his bicycle the top of the line in terms of looks, but in build as well. And in regards to the boat, we see that Ercole's boat has a fully intact and high-functioning motor, as compared to Luca, Alberto, and Giulia's, who only have a simple paddle boat. Those items reiterated to me Ercole's access to more top-of-the-line products as opposed to those around him. So with all of this information about him being rich, the question you probably have is, why did Ercole compete in the Porto Rosso Cup if he didn't need the money? Well, I think the answer is quite simple. After getting his Vespa, of course, I think Ercole continued to do the race because it brought him attention, recognition, and most importantly, domination. Even when he gets word of sea monsters and a reward for whoever captures them, he isn't concerned so much about the money he could collect. Instead, he yells, me, I win the prizes," clearly showing Ercole just wants to win because it shows his domination and superiority. And all of this leads me to the question, why was he a bully? Well, Ercole at his core is undeniably insecure, but in order to not appear that way, he has to dominate others, whether that is picking on them in the streets or by winning a local contest. In all honesty, I think it goes without saying that Ercole probably comes from a home where his parents don't pay much attention to him. They would probably give him endless amounts of money and provide him with the finer things, but he never really got what he so desperately needed, which was their attention and validation. And since he doesn't get that at home, he seeks it out in public in an obnoxious and mean-spirited way by bullying. Well, that concludes this episode of Disney Daily. Let me know what you thought about this theory in the comments, and also leave who your favorite character from Luca is. As always, thanks for being my guest here at Disney Daily. Until next time.